And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK show. And this is going to be episode 380. So I hope you guys had a great day and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the MSK show, I am going to be having a conversation with Alazmat. And this is going to be his first appearance on the show. So I first kind of discovered him when I was interviewing people on the Iron Man podcast, because that's where I did a lot of the original interviews for like a bunch of the indie comic book creators. And then when I made the transition back to YouTube, pending on a situation you guys already know about and don't need to hear about for, not legal purposes, but, basically, long story short, I was in pre-crisis, post-crisis, New 52. Now we're in Rebirth. This kind of put in just DC comic book terms. But after, the Iron Man podcast, and I did the MSK show as my final relaunch, you can kind of look at it as like, MSK is all in, kind of like the new DC comic book initiative is, DC all in. But I remember on Twitter, the algorithm was recommending me all these people in the indie comic space, and your profile came up because you have your duck character profile picture came up, and I was like, who's this guy with the duck? So then, I think I saw you on someone's stream. I think you were on Ethan's stream a long time ago, and I remember you were on there. He was praising your character, and then come to find out now he's just apparently backtracked on it now, because that's just what this guy always does. So that's how I ended up discovering Alazmat. And I was catching some of your videos on your channel. You were just basically doing like the whole like CG kind of docu-series about all these different like drama events that ended up happening. I think the best one you ever did was on that Pit Omnibus. That was probably the best one, because it really does reveal that women are just some of the most deceitful, disgusting creatures when something that they perceive that should be theirs is someone else is doing it and they feel like it should be with them. Like, because I had seen a lot of this stuff, not behind the scenes, but I had seen what was going on. I was like, yeah, this kind of sounds like a woman has been kind of pulling the strings, like Lady Macbeth, as they say. It's an old kind of, I think it's a story a long time ago where she's kind of pulling all the strings, actually, So I just want to let you guys know, don't trust every single woman. And the only reason why women can get away with it is because they're women and they know guys aren't going to press them on anything, because they think because most guys are simps and they think that women are angels. That's just kind of what it is. And they tell them lies because they want to fuck them. So, people, what's you saying back in the day, dude? Dudes ain't thinking with their dick. And I think
that polemic debate, which is the bigger problem? Is it the women who are playing the game or the simps empowering the women playing the game? That's been a back and forth debate. Yeah. And I used to be, for a long time, it's the women who's doing it. But then as I get more deep into like the sim culture, I'm like, these guys need to really just look in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm better than this. Why am I living vicariously with a woman that doesn't even consider me human? Like, men gotta wake up and say, you know what? I gotta stop feeding into this.
You're right. Yeah. It's also an interesting thing that ends up happening with a lot of these people in this group, where I think the girls know this too, because girls are a little bit more smarter than people like to give them credit for. Like when you have a nerd group, because you're older, like you've seen the nerd groups. Whenever there's a guy and there's a group of guys, right, and then there's a girl in there, and then a girl enters the group, right, all the guys tend to gravitate towards her and treat her differently.
Every time. Yes.
Every time. Right. And the girl, the reason why she's able to do this, and she knows this, she's not as pretty and popular as the other girls. So that's a group where she's going to get a bunch of guys you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, and all this stuff. That's the effect I think that Mandy had on CG. It's because I remember I'd spoken to her on Twitter, just replying to her. And I remember you remember the conversation that was happening where like people helping each other out? That was coming up like every single week. Who should you help out? Who should you help out? And I asked her, how did you get your start? So I was like, hey, what's going on with you? How did you get your start? So she basically said, before she ended up blocking me for another stupid reason, she had said, I wouldn't be here where I'm at without the help of my friends. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fair. It's a nice little credence to give people. It's okay, it's cool. And then you realize, what is she really good at? Like, I was really like, I think it's literally just she's a girl in a nerd group and she doesn't get attention. And then all these guys who don't get girls give her attention because they don't get attention from other women or even see women in that kind of environment. Because, I'm pretty sure you were younger and you always like, well, we're in a nerd group. Where's the girls at? Well, guys, to be honest, girls aren't interested in this stuff. That's actually the harsh reality. I'm not saying there's never been girls that liked it. There's always been girls around it. They're not the majority. That's why you don't see enough girls in these things,
the internet has made it easy for girls to make money because all you need to see is a group of men with their wallets open.
Yeah.
And they come in and then they play the game.
Right. Yeah.
It's a good play. And it's like, that old saying, don't hate the player, hit the game.
That's true. Yeah.
In the game, and it's really more coming upon the men to open their eyes and say, you know what? She ain't gonna fuck you. So why are you giving all this money and this attention? Like, and the fact is that these women are married, like her and Katie did. These people, they're all married. So they come into this sphere of men and get, as I would call it, adulterous attention from other men.
Right. And that's what I also told people. Women being married these days, that doesn't mean shit to them. Doesn't matter to those two. Like, they're married and they're actively, I don't know, having interesting conversations with men on live stream about sex and a bunch of other shit. Like, I'm pretty sure Katie Ditt's husband wouldn't like the fact that she's now going to start wearing revealing clothing on certain streams to get more people to watch her show. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be okay with that. But if he is, he's a fucking cuck loser. But I doubt that most men aren't like that, though. Most men are like, no, you're not doing that. But if she kind of runs the relationship, she feels like she can. That's the dynamic that some relationships have if she doesn't respect her husband. Because to me, doesn't look like she respects her husband. Looks like to me, I've always said this, I think she's in love with Ethan. Well, parasocially, you would say, based on what we had just learned about, where she was leaving a bunch of messages, stuff like that. Like, I don't know if a woman doesn't like you or is in love with you. I don't know. No woman from in my life has ever left me hundreds of messages, voice messages, for anything. I mean, if that ever happened, you'd be like, what's wrong with you? What's going on here? Like, she clearly doesn't like being married or enjoy being married because, divorce is mostly initiated by women now because they just don't want to be married.
80%, I think, is the divorce rate.
Yeah. Now, it can be for other reasons that are underlying there, but there are some women that know that they, like, depending on their market value, because if you're older, your value tends to go down. They know if they were to be single, they would really not get as much attention or get another partner. But then again, like I said before, guys are simps. They probably wouldn't give a fuck anyway. They'll take a girl that's 30 guys ran through at this point now,
Yeah, and the thing is, like, as a man, like, I think men have neglected to study the dating market.
True.
B, study the dynamics of the relationship between men and women, like what women want and what men should expect. And make their intentions clear. Like, men don't make their intentions clear. So,
I agree with you.
Like you'll get these like clashing of expectations. And the reason why I'm focusing more on the men is because you and I were men. So it's really it isn't our job to change women. It's our job to focus on building ourselves so that we attract the kind of women that we want.
I agree. Yeah. So, I feel like a lot of guys, they need to stop focusing on. I come to this realization some years ago. Guys need to stop focusing on sex. Like, sex in general is really overrated, and women in general are really overrated.
It destroys you. Like, if you're focused on sex, it's going to destroy you.
Yeah.
First of all, it'll rewire your brain because you view sex as something
like a coping mechanism,
something that's supposed to be a beautiful union between you and your woman, right? So that can damage you in the long run of your relationship, and it also takes you away from your focus because men should be focused on their goals and their purpose.
Right. And when you brought up the men thing with the whole Sims, like the OnlyFans thing, dude, it's like some of these guys, by what these women are making, these guys aren't poor. Like, you would think the typical stereotype is guys in a basement, the whole incel. These guys aren't poor. So it's not that they don't have any money. It's not that they don't have any agency to get a job. They probably have a car. They probably have a house. Probably a nice fucking house with that kind of money they're giving these women. They have nice houses. They probably have a dog or a cat. I'm more of a cat guy myself, but they probably have some animals. Like, what? I just don't get it. You have all this agency to make your life. You got the status. You got the money. Why are you wasting it on all these girls that'll never, like, the most they'll give you is a hello, how are you doing? And that's probably not even them messaging. It's probably their social media manager doing that. I just will never understand guys with that much money who could get any woman they want to. That amount of money will get you any woman. Good Lord.
So I can tell you this, because as a creator, I tend to be privy to certain information. You have what you call whales. These are guys that will spend lots of money on a particular creator, and they'll back like the highest tiers in a campaign, what have you. Some of them successfully get access to like a particular content creator's ear, and they'll be privy to certain information and even privy to certain influence. So there is that. I can tell you for a fact that is something that does exist in the communitas, I'll call it.
I've seen a lot of them. Yeah, because they feel like if you spend that much money to get a personal connection with that person.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It does happen. Not for every single one of them, but there are some pay piggies or non pay piggies, whales as we call them, that gain that access and they keep it because it helps them like with influence.
Mm-hmm. So before we get more into the CG stuff and your book that's on Kickstarter or in Indiegogo right now, Kickstarter.
Oh, let me put the link in the private chat so you can.
Okay. Put it in so hopefully. In time, when this show's still going, guys, it'll always be going because I have nothing else to do in my life besides make money and stream on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. But no, also watch NBA and NFL. And hey, the Kansas City Swifties not going to the playoffs this year. Thank God. Those people are annoying as fuck. But we'll start with your origin story. So next time you come on, you won't have to describe it because you already did it in this episode. So how was your life growing up, man? Did you have a 2-parent household, middle-class life, or you grew up poor, you had a single parent?
I guess I could say middle class, not poor, but like right at middle class. I was raised in a single mother home, so my dad wasn't around often. I won't get too personal details, but
obviously
I grew up with my sister, so there is that, and I had like a feminine perspective on things until I got older and I started gravitating more towards like certain other men in my life that were like not mentors, but they kind of guided me in certain things, and then I started reading more about like men's perspectives and studying, the dynamics of a man and realizing that, I inherited certain bad behaviors and certain bad ideals that can be destructive to a man. So I had to fix myself because for one, that was not attractive to women. So I was attracting certain kind of women that really weren't ideal. But again, you are what you attract. So if you're not attracting the kind of woman you want, maybe you're not the kind of man that you need to be to get that kind of woman. So I learned a lot about that. And it's been an eye-opener for me. So it's really changed my life and it's helped me become more aware of the one simple fact, which is that the world doesn't owe you understanding as a man. So you got to just tough it up.
Go out there and get the understanding, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to just swallow your pride and just keep it trucking and just do what you got to do and, and work for what you want. So
what about school? Were you public school, private school, homeschooling?
Well, I was in New York City, so obviously I was public school. I did a couple of years of private school, but then it got expensive, so I went back to public school. And most of my life was public school until I went to college.
Was that the journey in a New York City public school? Geez, that sounds like hell, actually.
It's funny because public schools back then, I mean, I wasn't in Queens, so public school in Queans not as bad as in other areas in New York City, but it's not all over. It's kind of getting bad everywhere now. But I mean, I can say I had some pretty good memories when I was in public school, so I miss some of those times. I miss the innocence of it. Go to school, come home and watch your Saturday afternoon, your weekday afternoon cartoons like He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
I love that. It was like, that was life for me. Go to school, come home, watch cartoons, play with your figures. Then, when you had to do your homework and then eat dinner and then go to bed. It's like, okay, well, and then, that prepared me for the reality of life, which is death and taxes.
Yeah, that's true. Death and taxes are inevitable, as Thanos said in Avengers Endgame. Also, expecting certain sports teams to lose, like the Clippers or the Jets.
Clippers, Jets. I mean,
Raiders. Raiders have sucked ever since I've been alive.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Add the Brooklyn Nets to that too. When they were the New Jersey Nets, they were
the Brooklyn Nets this year have been just complete ass. So bad, just stacking L's constantly. What about Brooklyn? Have you been in Brooklyn? I heard Brooklyn's very bad.
I was in Brooklyn for 5 years before I moved out to Pennsylvania, and the part of Brooklyn that I was in, Bed-Stuy, do or die. But in the 5 years that I was there, I had no issues. But I mean, it was a bad neighborhood.
Oh my God, my bad. Wrong one. The Bronx. The Bronx is apparently the bad. Yeah.
I think it goes between Brooklyn and the Bronx. I think the worst areas of the Bronx can kind of compare to the worst areas of Brooklyn, but Brooklyn at the very least is on the up and up. So there's that for Brooklyn. So
right. So after you got out of school, what did you end up doing? Did you go join the military, or what was the path you chose?
I mean, I went to work. I worked in the private sector. Worked for a few years of retail. Then went to school for a couple years for trade. I was learning how to do, auto mechanic. So I did a couple years of that, and then, long story short, I went into the medical field instead. So I worked for a few years as a nursing assistant, and then
really. Okay.
Yeah. And probably some of the most rewarding years of employment in my life being a nursing assistant.
Did you see people die?
What's up? Did you see people die? Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that to brag. I've seen people die. I did post-mortem care.
Like, did you like drink or smoke to cope with it, like some people I heard do?
No, I mean, for me, I already accepted that was going to be the reality when I joined it, and I thought it would affect me, but it actually hardened me to the fact that people are weak with this, so they need someone that's going to be there to be a figure of strength and poise. So it helped me to hone in on that, and it was something that I needed for down the road, and I'll explain why in a second. But I don't know if you know my personal life story, but I after years of being a nursing assistant, or during the time I was a nursing assistant, I met my wife Stephanie. Before Stephanie, that was my son's mother. We were married for a few years, then we divorced. Then I met Stephanie. We were together for 9 years, married for 7. We moved out. We moved out to Pennsylvania. And in our last 3, in the last 3 years of our life together, because she ended up being diagnosed with cancer, and then she passed away on October 1st of 2022. So I was.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. I was widowed for a little while after that, but then I met my lady love, Heather. She's also a widow too. So right. So we kind of had that connection because we understood pain, and the thing is, I understood the grief and the pain that Stephanie had, because before, when we met, she was no stranger to death and loss and grief, and me, I had not lost anybody yet. So that was one area of contention that she and I had, was because she felt that I didn't understand it. Now I do. Now I get it. And it's like, I wish I could tell her, I get it now. Like, I understand why you have these moments of emotion, how you act a certain way. I get it now, but she's not here. So instead I share that with my current love. And, we have that discussion. We don't trauma bond. I don't want to say we trauma bonded. That didn't happen. It's just that we can relate. So like, I can freely emote and she can freely emote. So, but in 2018, that's when I joined CG. I started, because I went years without drawing, and then 2016 I started drawing again, and then in 2018 I started working on my first book, Street Champion Road Warrior Drake, my first graphic novel, done in the style of the early Ninja Turtles. I'm trying to get the book out here.
You're good.
But in the style of the Ninja Turtles is how I modeled that first book, Street Champion Road Warrior Drake. This is the first book right here. This is the hardcover. I did a hardcover, a paperback, and a manga version of this. So, modeled after that era of comics, and it was met overall with some minor positivity. There were some detractors, some critics that didn't like the art style. They thought that I didn't belong because I was crude and that But I'm like, listen, I was just making a book that was supposed to be fun. I'm not trying to make high art. I'm just making something that's fun. And that was my goal. So I think a lot of people misunderstood that. But the ones that read it, those that read the book and enjoyed it, they say, you know what, the artwork makes sense now, because the art and the story complement each other. So there is that. So that I completed this in 2020, and I spent the next couple of years promoting it and shipping it and just trying to get copies out on the convention circuit. And then in 2023, months after Stephanie passed away, I started working on Beast Citizen Road Warrior Drake, which is a sequel to Street Champion Road Warrior Drake. And
the cover. Cover's pretty cool.
The cover was drawn by Felsbug. He drew the cover, and then Lido did the colors. So it's a beautiful cover. I still have the original artwork up here because he came to visit me one day, and then I bought the artwork from him. So I have that now in my library. But yeah, those two collaborated on the cover, and then I did the interiors. And there was a definite upgrade in the artwork from the first book. There's a few panels that I absolutely love from here, but just like with the first book, it's a complete story. It's comedic, it's action packed, and it done in the style of the comics, underground comics movement of the 60s and 70s. And the goal is just for you to read it and be entertained by it. And so then and here we are now. So I've done 2 books. Gotten quite a few accolades for this one. People enjoyed reading it. They had a great time reading it. So now I'm currently on my Kickstarter with Pumpkin Warpatch, who's a character in the book, in the 2 books that I showed you. So see, she's starts her own little journey after the events that take place in this book, and that's going to be a 12-issue miniseries. I have the first 2 issues for crowdfunding on Kickstarter right now. So that is the general breakdown of the artistic venture of where I'm at right now with the comics in terms of CG. Right. Now, I had identified a CG up until 2023. At
so
the towards
nice
the end of that
5-year run you had there.
Right. And that's when things kind of started to break. That's when I started noticing with the whole shit that was happening with Eric July and the stuff that happened with the Dungeoneers, and my eyes started opening up a bit. And I didn't make any public declarations until 2024 after Piscor had, taken his own life, that it was time for me to publicly make it an affirmation that I'm leaving or not using the label anymore, because enough was enough. There was so much harassment happening with CG towards Eric July and his fans. Like they're not getting harassed, and then I mean the harassment itself is not major, but the fact that it's even happening and that they're encouraging it is what's troublesome. Like saying hi to him in a convention it by itself is not a bad thing, but it's the intent and the fact that it was meant to be disruptive. That's the bad thing. And it's like that comes across as very ugly to people. And if the goal is for you to sell books, they're not going to buy your books if you're encouraging that behavior, and they're not getting that. So I didn't want to be a part of that. I just want to entertain people, make them feel good, and get them inspired to buy my books. Can I make one request? I want to say hi to people in the chat. I want to say what's up. So I see Emily Kruger. How you doing, Emily? Good seeing you in the chat. I saw somebody else in the chat that was Michael NT. Oh no, Carol Colors is a terrorist. Don't highlight colors. She's banned. Please don't highlight colors.
Michael he's a clout chaser. Don't pay attention to him. He's saying that to me.
Chase my clout, Michael. I have lots of clout.
Who's Duck? I'm watching the Ducks. What? Hockey's for losers. What the heck? Alazmat is the Duck.
No, those are D word. Okay, so I gotta clarify some. So Road Warrior Drake is not the D word. The D word's offensive. So please don't use the D word. He's a beast citizen. That's why the name of the book is Beast Citizen Road Warrior we must be using the proper labels for our titular character here.
So there was, before we get to the CG stuff, which I do want to get to, there was three main things I want to ask you first. So growing up, did you had a comic book in background, right? You grew up reading Marvel and DC comic books because you bought them with money your parents gave you from a comic book store, or was that how you got into comic books actually?
So I mean, I did read my share of DC Marvel, but did I have a big long box collection? No, I did not. I collected them sporadically, but not majorly. I was more into the strips, like Garfield and Peanuts.
Okay.
And then in the 90s, I started reading books like The Crow, and I started getting into a little bit of Art Crumb. And then as the years went by, I was just more into graphic novels and omnibuses. So Kingdom Come by Mark Waid was a good solid read. And I started to just get into more of those. So I just like complete stories. I like the medium of storytelling and comics. I was just more into the underground stuff than anything. But I did have my collection of the more famous DC stories, like the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Mm-hmm. And then of course George Perez's Wonder Woman. I had that in my collection for a bit. I read that, and
I'll be buying that in omnibus format soon. I need to get that. Everyone always says it's really good.
I had a hardcover, but then I had to sell the hardcover because I was trying to consolidate. But I ended up getting the paperback of the first part of that volume. So,
for me, that's the way that I think about it too. It's I don't mind single issues, but I've always treated it now with so many years doing it like TV. I could essentially read the episodic adventure or wait until it's collected in trade paperback or hardcovers, and it's the mainstream. So eventually, it's going to come out. It's not like the indie guys where they kind of need the money and backers and everything. It's these guys are going to put out the books at some point. And I feel like some of these stories are better if you get it all at once in a long form. You can just digest all at once. And some of the stories I was thinking about, I was I really like these, but would I really enjoy it as much if I was, consuming it month to month? Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers run, I would have, reading that week to week must have been a blast. But reading it all at once was even better. Man, that was really good. Those first two trades I read, amazing quality stuff he was delivering there.
Obviously, you want to read it all at once. I'm the same way. I like to get omnibuses because I want to get that full run in one shot. Mm-hmm. So if you're gonna put out floppies, I'm trying to do, and these are just it's a mini series, so it's not an ongoing thing. Mm-hmm. But what I'm doing is every book has its own complete story. So you'll read, each issue will have its own contained story, but it'll have enough information to connect to the next story and ultimately connect to the bigger arc. So floppies are a hard sell, but I think the strength of what I'm doing is each book will have its own complete story, and it'll have a mini run. So it'll be a beginning and an end, and hopefully by being able to fund each campaign, it'll give me the impetus to do an omnibus because I'll know then that there's a demand for it.
Also, what was the inspiration for your character?
Pumpkin War Patch. Yes. So I'm just tired of like masculine female characters in media, whether it's Ray Palpatine in the Star Wars movies, Michael from like the Star Trek Discovery show, what they did to Captain Marvel in the comics, or how they're emasculating all the female characters. I'm like, you know what? I see what's going on. They're trying to diminish the male gaze because being a man is the difference between the U.S. comics and the manga is manga rewards the male gaze, whereas the comics punishes it. It suppresses it. So I'm like, well, I like sexy female characters. I grew up on She-Ra. I thought she was pretty sexy. Princess Ariel from Thundar, Chitara from Thundercats, or the live action like Xena, for example. Like totally. These are all female characters that were very pleasing to the eye, but they were very well written too. So like you didn't just see them as pieces of meat; they were actual people doing things. But you're being rewarded as a man by, how they're drawn and how they're presented. So, and the comic writers and artists knew that too for the longest time. They knew that it's okay. We're drawing these male characters as aspirational beings for our male readers. Now let's draw these female characters as the kind of women they would want to have and be with. That's the reality of it. So I'm in that same school of thought. So with Pumpkin War Patch, I'm trying to make a female character that's fun to look at, fun story, fun, exciting, comedic stories. Now I'm no Jack Kirby, but I have my own style. And to me, like I feel like I'm more honing in on Bruce Timm style or artwork, or even like in the German comic world, like someone like Eckhard Breitschuh, his style, I'm kind of honing in on that as well. So that's where I'm going at visually. So yeah, so I said, I've had fun drawing Pumpkin War Patch in the book, in the Road Warrior Drake books. So like, let me just give her a side story, and give her own little journey, and a reason for me to draw her because I like drawing her. She's fun to draw.
What about
Drake is fun to draw, and so is Pumpkin War Patch.
What about your favorite character? The character you started off indie comic books with, your Road Warrior. What was the inspiration for him? Was
Road Warrior Drake? Well, I hit my head in the toilet, and that's how it happened. I'm just joking. That's not what happened. No.
Was it TMNT?
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, yeah, TNT DuckTales, even though he's not the D word. He's not the D word. So
not the D word, yes.
Right there for the record.
Is he a goose? What about a goose? He could be a goose.
Or maybe he could be a platypus. You don't know.
Oh, good Lord. He can't. Are you assuming his gender? He can't be a duck or a goose?
Well, this is why we can't talk about it. See the debate that's going to happen right now? I came here in good faith, and now we're about to just throw it out. Like, I'm a guest. We cannot have that kind of divisive language.
Okay, is he a bird? Can he fly?
He is a beast citizen. I made that clear. You have to go back to the stream and hear exactly what I said. He's a beast citizen.
Does he have little ducklings that follow him when he fights?
So that actually okay. So with Drake, he's asexual, so he has no desire for mating, and which is I make that very clear because so I pass away, whatever, and someone decides to take over the character, I make it very clear. No, he's asexual. There's no bestiality because the thing that I find weird about some of these like anthropomorphic characters is they'll get him involved in human relationships. Like
God.
Cerebus and Jaka. I'm like, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know if I could do that. I'm nah. So.
Oh God, man. Yeah, you have some really weird people out there that they want to basically have Sonic bang them. Like these women are so weird when they get into the stuff. Furry people are weird. I imagine you had people saying, "Hey, when is Road Warrior gonna bang some girls?" Like he's a duck, or he's not the duck. He's an animal. Not banging a girl.
Beast citizen.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Yes. So I was drawing a page that featured Pumpkin War Patch, and someone in the chat said, "So who's Road Warrior Drake's honey?" I'm like, no, that's not his honey. That's his adoptive sister. They kind of group of siblings in a way, and that's explained in the first book. But under the conditions that they were raised, they kind of grew up together as siblings. So
right.
So I make that very clear. So no, there's no interspecies any of that happening in my books.
Do you ever have a thought of a story where he'll have like duckling students, like he becomes a teacher eventually in his long career, and he's just teaching them how to be heroes? You ever thought of that?
So there is gonna in the third graphic novel. I won't go into too much detail, but something like that kind of does happen. But
that's cool.
Drake is the only one of his species, so he doesn't have these little D-wordlings happening around. Right, he's the only one of his species, and that never gets explained either.
That's good. Got to keep a little mystery there. Yeah,
I 100%. Like not everything has to be explained. Sometimes the fun is trying to debate certain things in a story that's presented, and just having fun trying to come up with a reason why it happened.
Right. You know, and I feel like people need to do more of this on their shows where they talk about any comic books. You know, like we're talking about the other dynamics your character has gone through, like what people think about the character, the
Right.
next arc the character is going to be going on, the
Mhm.
creation of the character. I feel like more people need to do that because the only way that the general audience that you're trying to, get interested in your book is to like the characters, people actually talking about them. You know,
Right.
I
Mhm.
don't know I don't know where Ethan's brain went, where he was like, well, drama sells everything, and they'll just be buying all your books. I don't know if
Mhm.
the conversion rate to drama farming is equal to backers that'll buy your stuff and actually read it. I don't know if there's a big conversion rate there.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So one thing that I became very obviously clear about in the last couple of years is you can get 100 people watching a live stream doing drama crap, like e-fapping someone and getting into a war of words with another creator. You'll be lucky if 10% of that actually buys your books, and that's a big if. Um, Drama doesn't sell books. It doesn't. You may make a few dollars in super chats on a live stream, but no, like the people that are in for the drama, they don't care about books. They're not here to read your books. They don't give a shit about what you're doing in terms of comics. They want to see the shit show and they're attracted by that. I learned that lesson a couple years ago. That's why I'm okay when I live stream if I get 10 or 20 live viewers, because that's 10 or 20 people that are actually caring about the artistic side of what I'm doing. And I'm fine with that because of that 10 or 20, I may get 5 to 10 of those as backers, and I'm okay with that. So if I can grow that organically, then I'll have dedicated readers of my stuff, not someone that wants to come see a shit show.
So I remember you mentioning your books. So currently, right now, if someone wants to go buy those 2 books, could they do that, or are you gonna have to do another crowdfund campaign to get another print run of that going?
It will be a print run because they're not really cheap to print,
Yes,
but it
right,
will be
yeah.
available again because I'm doing another Road Warrior floppy, and I'll make those graphic novels available as tiers.
Mhm.
So it will be available again. You just got to just follow me on my social media because I talk about them often, and I'll see to it that they'll come out again. So that's where I'm with that. But I sell them at cons. I'm trying to build audience through conventions as well,
Mhm.
and people buy the books, and it's amazing seeing them. Somebody coming up to you, they see your book, and these are people that are not privy to the drama online. They don't give a shit about it.
Right,
They
right,
just
yeah.
they see the
Congors don't care
book.
about that shit, yeah.
Exactly. They see the interior, and they're like, "Oh, this is fun." And then I saw them a copy. It's like I just made another organic fan. That's cool. So
Yeah, this notion in that group that you have to make the highest quality art and you have to make this prestige level story. It's kind of like those film people that say unless movies are made like this and look like this and they're not really movies. It's like, dude, I always told these guys, bro, the average person don't give a fuck about that shit. They just go, this looks kind of cool. I'm gonna watch it or read this. That's it. The average person is really not that intrinsically inclined to care about all the details of this stuff. Like, there's a saying like you said. What was the one? It was a saying back in the day, which was they don't really care how the sausage is made. They just kind of care that they can buy the sausage at the store. That's it.
so so,
You
so
know.
let me tell you a little story about that.
Mhm.
So when I joined Comicsgate, I thought that it was just another independent comic book movement, like the CC 60s on the ground and the 80s alternative.
Mhm.
If you look at the art style in those two movements, they were pretty simple. They were diverse, various styles. Some of it was crude. Most of it wasn't even mainstream appropriate. But guess what? The people didn't give a shit because they liked the books, they were entertained by it, and they became cult favorites over the years. And you look at properties like Bone. Look at the art style in that one, and that's like $1 million franchise. That one. Garfield has enjoyed massive success. The Peanuts have enjoyed massive success because people like it. Why? Because of the story being told. The artwork in those particular properties services the story. So it wasn't until the 90s with Image Comics that the whole thing about good art became a thing. And I think Comicsgate took on that mantle of the 90s Image Comics, and they believe that is what independent comics is. I'm like, no, there's a whole other period of independent comics that defies Image. Image I mean, it's debatable if the artwork in Image Comics are good. I mean, that's debatable, but nobody remembers the stories being told on these Image Comics outside of Spawn. And
And
I
people
mean,
kind of barely
Spawn,
remember that. All they know is
right?
from what I was, hearing when people were talking to me about it. When
Yeah,
people bring up Spawn, they just bring up the character. I've not heard anyone go into like absolute detail about the first
right.
issue and the arcs he's been on. I think the only person that has done that is Ronan Joe and his friend. Oh, I forget his name. Oh my god, him and his buddy have a show where they talk about Spawn like in depth. I think they're the only two people I've ever met that'll be like, I know Spawn pretty in depth. Most people that know Spawn, like you said, is just because the character looks cool. That's it.
Right. Yeah. And the fact that he's an African American character is also groundbreaking too. So, which by the way defies the idea that people are racist. Like, no, if it's a good character, they'll invest in it. But CG took on that philosophy that it's about good art. So then now you have an environment where they're focusing on the art and not the writing. The writing, a lot of these books suck ass. Like, I've backed a few of these books and they're terrible writing. Like the Cyberfrog books, well drawn, but the writing sucks. For example, and I can talk about that, but that's later down the road. I don't want to get into that. But
you're good.
But yeah, some of these books are just not well written. They don't focus on making each book a complete story. So you're waiting years between books, and it's like, okay, well, you leave me at this, and there's not much payoff in this book. Now I gotta wait 2-3 years for the next book, and then when you get the next book, it's the same thing. It's just part of a story, not an entire story, no real payoff. And you're like, what is the story being told here? Like, how are you rewarding the readers and their patience? How are you rewarding their investment in time in terms of what you're offering as a story? They have not figured that out. So you get this book that no one's going to be talking about years from now. In the meantime, you get these other books, like, for example, Order of the Stick by Richard Burlew, a webtoon comic done entirely in stick figures, and that he turned that into a book on Kickstarter back in 2012 that made $1.2 million. And he did it with good storytelling and endearing characters. The artwork was simple as fuck, and yet he made more money than the best-looking Comicscape books today. And that should tell you something.
So, with Ethan, how did you ever meet him? Because I know he had you on a stream before, but was that the first time you had been on his stream or whatever? Or did he follow you on Twitter because of what things you were saying potentially, or just because you were in CG?
So I was on a couple of his streams, but he actually appeared on my streams later on too. I'll get to that in a second. But
okay.
I think I got into his radar because at the time, the Comic Book Hut was one of his nemesises. I don't know if it's a word, but anyway. But I started doing video responses to the Comic Book Hut. And I think that's what got Ethan's attention, was because I was one of the first channels to actually do like an apologetics thing for CG. So he was obviously a fan of those because he would mention that. And then in 2021, between 2021 and 2023, he would come on my channel for a few streams and participate on my panel on a few of those streams. So we would actually he'd be more on my channel than me on his, but he came on my channel. Not many people in my sphere had that privilege to say that they had Ethan on their channel quite often. So that's how he got to know me. And then in 2023 at the Garden State, we actually met in person. He recognized me. I didn't go to him and say, "Hey, Ethan." He saw me and said, "Hey, Alazmat." Right. Like, oh wow, he actually remembers me. Wow. So we had a rapport there. And one thing I'll say about Ethan in person is he's a different person when you meet him in face to face versus the online persona. In person, he's more down to earth. He's more.
So would you say
not say this because this is
online? Would you say he's faking it online?
I think it's a performance.
Or is that truly really okay?
Because he's LARPing as this Tony Soprano kind of guy, and that's what's giving him the money. So he's performing. It's YouTube is theatrics. You have to be
right. It's WWE. Yeah.
So like for example, on my streams, I perform as a butthurt Pac because it's entertaining.
Yeah,
That's not who I am in real life. In real life, I'm just more down to earth. I'm more introverted. You know, I'm more grounded.
Yeah, you definitely don't find guys behind pizza parlors for shenanigans. You're not doing that.
No. Oh heck no. That I go to the pizzas to eat pizza in the pizza, not behind the backyard to get somebody talking about me on Reddit later on. So no.
But does pineapple go on pizza?
It can.
Do you like pineapple on pizza? Because I think it tastes like garbage.
I heard somebody say it wasn't good. Then I tried it. I'm like, you know, I can dig it. I think I preferred more than ham. I said something evil, but I still.
Good Lord, damn, we lost him. He likes pineapple pizza. No, we lost him. But okay, so what was the moment in your head that went, this guy is completely irredeemable? I'm not ever supporting this guy ever again. Because I know you mentioned it earlier about the stuff with Eric July, but there has been another moment where you went, because you know some people, I don't know if you're like this, some people do like to go like, okay, that's just one time. I'll let it see how it plays out. Was there another time where you went, this guy is just fucking a lunatic?
It was okay. So there was a few instances but there was one in particular where he made fun of, or he told somebody in his chat to make a video meme of Eric July, of a robot that appeared in the Goodyear comic, and they made a meme of that robot dog pissing on Eric July's ancestor's grave.
Ooh.
And it brought me back to when Ethan and CG cast out War Campaign because of some memes by a couple guys in the whole group. It wasn't the whole group. It was just like a couple guys who made some memes about Anna's dead sister. And back then it was like, you can't meme dead family members. Now in 2024, you can meme dead family members. And I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of a flip of the coin now. It's like, okay, so yeah, this is kind of fucked. It really is, because it's like what making fun of dead family members is to me off. Making fun of family in period is off limits. That's just my thing. But when you go as far as making fun of dead family members, that's like, yeah, you cross the line for me, as far as, especially when you present yourself as being higher than that and being above that shit. But now you're actually telling people, hey, make some memes of that because I think it's funny. Like, you're kind of a phony for that. So
do you remember the tweets that guy was going on people about for like not helping them enough? Like, I remember there was weeks on end where this guy was mad that other people weren't helping out enough in the indie comic space. Like the whole grab an oar that he has a mantra for CG. Remember him and Drink of Crazy had like some back and forth interaction about that. It's like, well, someone like shouldn't just be given free help. That should not be something that really happens. It should be more of like an earned thing. Like, or like, if I want to help you out, I should do it because I actually want to do it, not because we're part of some group, right? So I got both the perspectives, but then it came to a point where he would talk so much shit about smaller creators. And it's like, okay, this guy's on Twitter saying all this shit about how much people should help them out, but then he's going on his show having a completely different tune. And I understood one aspect of it. I did, where it was like some smaller creators are jealous people. They feel like they should be in a spot they may deserve the other person. I fully get the small creator point of view. I fully do get that. But you can't also be out here saying like, you guys should help them out. You yourself don't want to help them out by what you're saying. You know, I feel like this guy actually is a woman, because there's a saying with women now where their opinions is kind of go wherever the wind blows. That's his opinion. Every day it will go wherever the wind blows. 1 week DC's the worst thing ever. Now come this week after the Supergirl trailer comes out, now DC's the best thing ever. There's no actual principles or morals with this guy. He's just some fat moron. Honestly, I actually decently liked the guy back in the day when I thought he was level-headed. I was like, it's not a bad guy at all. He seems a little misunderstood, a little retarded, but sounds like a pretty cool guy. Then you see who he really is. You're like, all right, this is just a horrible, horrible fucking person. Especially the whole justifying thing you said earlier about the Riley thing. It's like, dude, you cannot do that. That is, just imagine this. I would love to see some crazy Eric July fan. It's never going to happen, but a crazy Eric July fan go to Ethan's house in New Jersey, say knock on his door. He didn't do anything. He just knocks on the door. Maybe he bats the window a little bit. Guys, you know you can't do that, right? In any state, I would imagine you can't just go and vandalize someone's property. It's literally against the law. You can literally go to jail for it. So when he's on a show with Nick Ricada, Nick Ricada's like, but that's not a public building. And Riley didn't really do anything. You literally can't vandalize property you're not supposed to be on and you don't own. It's literally a law in every state. Yeah. The fact that he's hearing this, he's justifying it. I was like, dude, you're an idiot. You're justifying stalking and vandalizing someone's property. That's crazy. I
did a video on with the Heroes Con when I was in Heroes Con, and there was was it? Yeah, it was the Heroes. I think it was a Heroes Con video that I did where it showed how they were justifying the harassment that Eric July suffered at the convention versus they got all upset because of the handshake that offered.
Legendary handshake.
Exactly. So like they clearly know what they're doing and they're trying to bank on their audience being dumb about it. But to go back to your point about them crying about not being promoted, I'm going to just point to something that John Malin said back in 2020, I think it was. Yeah, it's 2020, during the Rob Casey incident, where he said, nobody's entitled to anyone's platform. So they stuck on that for a long time to kind of stick it to the small creators. But now that they're losing money and they're losing numbers, now it's, why aren't you promoting us? I think small creators should say, hey, you're not entitled to my platform. How about that?
Yeah, and I understand that from a smaller creator's point of view, you get your book in more eyes, you get more backers, but what cost is that? You're going on
the cost is loyalty. If you're not loyal to these guys, then you lose those backers. That's why I'm like, I don't care if they promote, if I'm promoted by any big channels. I'm just trying to do the grassroots thing where I go people to people, pitch my books, and try to sell you on that. Because I want to get organic readers, people that like what I'm doing, not because their favorite creator told them about me, but because they like the presentation that I gave and they like what I'm offering.
Because man, this whole notion that someone is just owed support, but this is why everyone was telling him on Twitter, no one should just be given support. It should be a earned thing through their own hard work. Then when you see them putting in enough work, you'd be like, hey, I'm throwing this guy a bone. But he was like, grab an oar. Everyone in CG deserves promotion. Yeah. I mean, I don't see that guy Brett Turner on his show anymore. I don't see that one black girl he used to have on with Shane sometimes. She's not. I think it's Crystal. She's not there anymore. Plenty of people aren't there anymore. He doesn't have Katie Didd on enough anymore. He doesn't have Tony on enough anymore. What happened to the whole grabbing an oar and just helping people out? It's because all that is performative bullshit. Right. All that is people just
Tony and Katie are actually fighting now, so it's like now they can't get along with each other. So
Oh yeah, it's just one of these things where I would like people to understand that someone's actions should matter way more than the shit they say. Like I remember when Ethan had brought up that Eric July, he's not going to topple Marvel and DC. You know this because you did the videos and I commented on them and you hearted my comment. Eric never said he was going to be beating Marvel and DC. Right. Guys, if he had ever said that, I'd be like, dude, you're insane. So not just you're insane. That's never going to happen. You can't. It's just impossible. It's impossible. Even logically thinking that you can is insane. There's only been a few instances of it otherwise in our long comic book history that we've had for the medium. Eric July never said he was going to beat Marvel and DC. That never happened.
Right. Well, as you can tell, like they attribute a lot of things that he said that he didn't say. Like with the whole he attacked crowdfunding. I'm like, no, he didn't. He didn't attack crowdfunding. He just said that there are people who are abusing it, and that's a fact. People are abusing the crowdfunding model.
But it wasn't just CG. This is how you know you're talking to absolute tourists. There was a campaign. I don't know if you remember it. Well, I can point to a big one. Rob Liefeld. He has a late campaign longer than Ethan's. People say, Ethan's guys. Rob Liefeld has like a 10-year late campaign.
Richard Pace is another one that has a book he didn't fulfill.
Yep.
And he was like one of the big anti-CG guys during 2018. A lot of guys have unfulfilled campaigns.
Even Dan Fraga, and I agree with what he said to Ethan, but he himself has a almost probably now 6-year late campaign. Yeah. There was another one with Donnie Case, the guy that had his acclaimed Venom run, who created the character Null. He had a he had an influence on a Compa campaign. I can't remember the name of it. That never got fulfilled. What's crazy is people just attributed that to CG. Guys, there's plenty of other crowdfunds out there that don't get fulfilled. I don't know why, but it's this thing of like, oh, he's attacking me because he's calling out my shit. And if you feel that butthurt because someone is calling out your bullshit, well, damn, maybe you should actually, I don't know, fix the shit you're going through.
Or maybe, like what they told Eric July, maybe either accept the criticism or ignore it. Don't spurg out about it.
Right. We were told that you should accept any form of criticism from Ethan, whether good or bad, or whether it's in good or bad faith. And this guy said this is actually how you know you're talking to a fat fucking retard. This guy said there was no such thing as bad faith. Guys, quite literally, you can Google this. Bad faith is an actual thing.
Yes.
The definition of it, from what I've read, is basically the reason why that's a thing in court is because you have to prove whether or not someone is saying these things and doing these things with good intentions or bad intentions. It's all based off intentions, right? So when he's saying there's no such thing as bad faith, what he's saying is that there's no bad intentions with the criticism that Eric was levied from the people.
Right.
Obviously, there would be, and there would be good intention behind it too. But when he said there was no bad faith, I'm like, dude, you don't live life. You just don't live life, or you live in.
I've experienced this. I've had when I launched my Pumpkin War Patch campaign. I put the tweet out on the day that it launched. I had a knucklehead come into my thread, and he was like, "That art," as if to say that the book looked like shit. So I was, I replied with a picture of Pumpkin War Patch, winking kind of thing, and he just he was like, "Well, that the inking style doesn't look good." I'm like, "I'm going by the older model of the 60s and 70s underground movement. I'm not trying to be mainstream." But then I showed him a picture that he retweeted on his page of an piece of artwork that would look primitive, which I like. But I'm like, okay, let's see what he thinks about this. And he wouldn't critique it because it was a friend of his. So that's how I knew. Yeah, this motherfucker came in to sabotage my thread. There are people who can critique, but then those that use criticism as a weapon to sabotage. And you can spot them by pointing the mirror at them, and you'll know that they're coming in there with bad intention.
Right. And what is your general opinion about where CG is headed with like John Malin and Shane and Ethan and all these guys? Do you think it's on a track to just continue going down with just their sycophants, or do you see any way it trickles up at any point, or do you think the peak of CG is already over? Like it already kind of peaked.
Yeah, it peaked in 2020. That was the peak, and then 2023, early 2023, there was a resurgence of it, and because we started meeting at the cons, so. That would have been the logical next step had we just focused on that and and just made it a thing all over the country, CG could have seen a second revival. But because Dungeoneers and Eric July, they rather just focus on having war with other creators and their fans. So as a result, and here we are today, 2 years after the fact, CG is dead. It's DED. It's just a brand that belongs to Ethan. It's not a movement anymore. Ethan has said it many times that CG is him, Shane Davis, John Malin, and for whatever reason, Mandy and Dale Keown. That's him is what CG is. He's everybody else.
Does he now include Anna, that Star Wars girl? Because I remember he included her in that video you're talking about. I'm pretty sure not now because they had some argument and he was sitting here giving her hundreds of dollars and stuff. I'm like, dude, kind of, it's weird. I don't even care for Anna, but it's like, read the room. It's like, bro, that the virtue signaling this guy does is absolutely insane. You know, it's just, oh my goodness. I can't believe someone like this is even allowed to thrive in a space like this. But it's because, you know, you gain sycophants through crazy, ridiculous actions like, I don't know, licking a urinal. Like,
that was the thing too. Yeah.
That's crazy. Is he live streamed that? That wasn't a private thing we found out on like Kiwi Farms. That guy filmed that. And the funniest part about that stream was like, I used to be somebody. Did you? Yeah. Or did because he says, look, DC used to call me legendary. You know, guys, DC calls a lot of people legendary. People weren't even considered good. I don't know if that moniker from DC legendary kind of means anything when everyone's legendary. You know, they called a guy who had a Wonder Woman run, Phil Jimenez, legendary. It's like, is he considered legendary? I don't know, but hey, sounds cool on a fucking back of an omnibus when you read that, you know? Yeah. Oh my God, man. And then the whole trash cast thing, because people forget, it wasn't, he is such a moron. He doesn't even remember why he started Trash Cast. It wasn't because of Eric July. You remember why? Who was it? So Yellow Flash.
Yellow Flash,
Yellow Flash put out the reason why he started
cover rate. Right. So that's what happened. That's what did it.
Good Lord. He doesn't even remember keeping his story straight. Yellow Flash and him had an argument. Like Yellow Flash left the CG public group, and this happens used to happen on Twitter, where if you were an admin of a group and you left it would just delete everything. I don't know if he actually, Yellow Flash, knew that intentionally or didn't. I don't know that, but Ethan I remember doing Trash Cast #1 when Yellow Flash was doing Flash Cast, and originally it was all about Yellow Flash until he was like, you know what, it's more profitable if I shit on Eric July constantly. And when he says certain things, like him and Eric July weren't friends. Dude, you remember that stream Eric July and him had on Eric's channel where someone had super chatting? It was members only, but I remember someone super chatting if Ethan would ever go on F&T, and Ethan said, yeah, let's do it. I remember him saying that word for word. It was like that last stream they had together before Ethan just went fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for like nothing. You know, he literally said he would go back on F&T. I don't know if he was joking, but you know, he did say it publicly. I remember that. So this guy, I can understand why they don't want to be around that guy. He's just like a fucking woman. His opinions will go wherever the wind goes. The wind's blowing left, he's going that way. If the wind's blowing right, he's going that way. If it's blowing upwards, he's going that way. You know?
Yeah. He goes where the money trail follows. That's his thing is. Wherever the money is, that's where he goes. So and unfortunately, it's cost him a lot more money because there was already money from in the space he was cultivating with comic book fans and creators. But he said, no, I'd rather do the blood sports. I'd rather just have that YouTube super chat money and get that Dick Masterson crowd in there and, you know, bring all the degenerates into our space. And the rest is unfortunately documented history.
Yeah, he was like, I'd rather have Dick, because he basically kind of, with his actions, proved he wanted the Dick Masterson audience. And it's like, Dick Masterson has no, like, oh God.
He miscalculated. So Ethan thought that bringing that massive audience was going to result in comic book sales, but they're not there to buy comics. They don't care about comics. They want the shit.
They probably never read a comic in their entire life. That's how bad it is.
That's true. Yeah.
Good Lord. I would imagine the only comic book they've ever read in their entire life was Isom.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
To shit on it.
And you know, and whatever you think of Isom, I mean, listen, there are people that like it. And honestly, if there are people that do like it, then what does it matter? He's catering to that audience. So if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if there are people that like it, he's catering to that audience that's between him and his fans.
You also remember when he said Isom was good when he was battling?
I in my documentary I show that. I show where he talked about how Isom was a professional book. It was a great job by his team. And then all of a sudden he did that 180. And shout out to Student of God. He documented all the times that all of his fans did the same thing. They went from saying Isom was good to Isom was the worst thing ever. And it was right around the same time. It's like, holy crap! It's like a hive mindset, you know?
Yeah. Because and remember, he specified in the tweet, he specified in one of those tweets clarifying, I remember his word for word, it is a good book. Remember? Remember, he specifically said it is a good book. That means he's putting his stamp of approval on that. Like, he's saying this is good. You should buy this.
Yeah.
And then I remember when he did the ISOM #2 cover and the whole Shane debacle. Like, Shane is just shit. What's crazy is Shane got mad because I don't really know why he got mad for. Shane's just an odd guy. He said Eric paid me for a commission. Yeah, that's what happened.
That happens. Yes.
Yeah. Like, and then he was like, well, Eric treated my deal unfairly. You were paid for, and come on, if you knew that in like this negotiation phase, you didn't say anything, you were cool with it. Oh, let's see. Shane is the person. I don't know why people ever get behind that guy. He's just boring, non-interesting.
Yeah,
like very
very unprofessional. Like you had a deal that for whatever reason you thought was not good between you and Eric July. So what? Bad business deals happen all the time. Just keep it moving, because the more you talk shit about people's business deals, the less they want to deal with you.
True.
You know,
true.
like
yeah.
Same thing with like Eric Weathers. Eric Weathers was a letterer for Eric July.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
And then he was on a trash cast and he basically demolished the Rippaverse with a drawing he did or something like that. And it's on the forums. Like I think I posted on the forum myself, but I was like, after that, like, who's going to want to hire that guy? Who's going to want to hire somebody that's going to trash your shit later on? You know,
I had Eric Weathers on my Iron Man podcast back in the day, and he seemed like a pretty cool guy. He seemed like a pretty level-headed guy to have a conversation with. He had revealed he'd never been in the industry. He was just always an indie guy. I'm like, okay, this guy seems pretty cool. I bought his book. I bought Battlebrook Road. I reviewed it on my comic book channel. Thought it was a pretty good book overall. I really enjoyed it. It was not bad. I wouldn't say 5 years late level bad, but you know, it's like, okay. I like if he said I had to wait for that book for 5 years, I wouldn't buy it. I'm not doing the whole 5-year wait thing. But it's a solid book for the investment of time I got. And you know, you always kind of knew he had more allegiance to CG, because when I started criticizing Ethan and CG, he unfollowed me, because he followed me after the stream we had. Yeah. And then after that, he was like, I'm sorry that I didn't make your show, but I'll be coming on. I remember these things he said to me. Yeah. Right when he started criticizing Ethan, he was out. I don't see Eric Weathers on Ethan's Comicsgate Kings anymore. I don't see him on there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what
he probably realized maybe Ethan's actually bad for business.
Probably. I mean, if he did, good for him, but the damage is done, you know?
Yeah, because I remember, like, Eric, the last thing that he lettered for the Rippaverse was, I think, the Ripazine #1. That was probably the last thing, I think, he lettered for the Rippaverse. And then after that, he's just been not there. Like, what a weird... It's so odd. If you're going to have because he said he was there... Because I remember what he told me. He was their permanent Rippaverse letterer. He was the guy to letter their books. Yeah. Why would that's constant money you get? Yeah. You know, and then he has to go on Twitter and post hey, I'm open for lettering.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I was like,
you saw that, remember? Yeah.
All that brown nosing didn't work out for you. Eric did it. He really did not.
Yeah. Because Ethan doesn't produce enough books for you to letter them. And all the mainstream guys are artists. They're probably doing it themselves, most likely.
Right. Because Eric Weathers came at a time when he hit lightning in a bottle, because CG was at the time united. It was a collective, and he started lettering people's books, and then he became that guy to get for lettering. But a lot of those people have moved on. A lot of those creators moved on. So the new guys that are here, they don't Eric Weathers. Like, they don't care. So good job on that. You know, like, you had a good thing and you squandered it.
Yeah, what an absolute moron. Yeah, you know, turns out sucking a guy off to the point where his dick is to your esophagus, probably not a good idea. You know, like a lot of these other guys that follow Ethan, whatever Ethan's opinion is, their opinion will be. Like you said with ISOM, these people are praising it, saying it's good, and they invested for a good reason. But then when Ethan says he doesn't like it, they go, you know what? When I bought it because I was told, and then I read and I didn't like it. You said completely the different thing 2 years ago. You said when you bought it, you were recommended it. You were recommended the book. You bought it and you liked it. Interesting. So I wouldn't want you as my fan. Fuck you. I'd actually rather have anybody else but you. You're just a Fairweather fan. If anybody says a bad thing about me, you're going with them. Yeah, I'm good. I can get another fan. I don't need your type of people around me. That is not the kind of people you want around you guys. Or if anything bad happens, they're out the door. Yeah, it's not.
And there's a misconception that all money is green, and all money is green. But if you look at long-term investment, you want to make sure that the money that you're getting is going to aid in that long-term investment, not damage it down the road.
Yep. So I want to show off your Kickstarter campaign really quickly. I mean, move away this Spurs and Knicks game. Good Lord. If you guys don't know right now, the 2026 NBA Cup, Knicks are, oh God, they're in the third quarter right now. Holy fuck. Oh God, Knicks fans are not gonna be happy tonight when they lose that. And then they'll be like, but the cup doesn't matter, bro. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Everything matters in sports. I hate these people too. And none of it matters. Okay, then why you fucking watching? It doesn't matter. Just shut the fuck up then. Get the fuck out of here. Good lord.
Like I said, I don't like from what we were talking about in our early pre-stream conversation. I don't miss rooting for sports because I was a big Nick fan during the Patrick Ewing era, and I just I got tired of them just losing. It's like, no, I'm good.
So before you go and promote your comic book, if there is a chance where it doesn't fully fund, when ends up happening? Do you just try to redo it again, or you just take it a different approach and go on a different platform? Because Fund My Comic probably wouldn't be that much better, right?
No. So I'm trying to like capitalize on the Kickstarter algorithm. So as far as like whether or not it doesn't fund, I'm not like I should have a plan, but I don't right now. My goal right now is to making sure it does fund. I have 19 days to fund. If you're like a fan of like the early underground comics, if you like cool female characters, if you like comedy, if you like to read and be entertained, I mean, you definitely want this book. These are the first 2 books, and they're you know, I put disclaimers on the covers. They're for mature readers only. So, but they're fun, they're adventurous, and it's part of a big universe I'm building. So, I say, you if you want to support indie creators, you want to support somebody with a long-term plan, I'm your guy. I have a proven track record of entertaining my readers. I have a proven track record of making people laugh and smile, and even some of the people that have been detractors of mine, when they read my stuff, they're like, oh, you know what? I get it. This is actually pretty entertaining. You're right. This is actually good. I like it. So, or if you can get the first issue for $15, get them both for 30. I think to get them both for 30 and invest yourself in a story that will have a payoff. Each book will be complete, but it will have a payoff. So you can't go wrong with that, So I say, hey, invest in a new IP, invest in an indie creator, invest in a story that's going to have a nice decent run, and it's going to be worth your time.
I think you enjoy drawing this one.
I did, yes. I enjoyed drawing her. She's fun to draw.
Oh gosh, man. Oh Lord. So I'll ask you this: since a lot of people don't really get that much interest on their indie stuff, whether it be book or a novel or a comic book, how do you go about gathering interest for your stuff?
First it's through my live streams, and again it goes back to cultivating an organic readership and fan base. So it's constantly making it about the brand, making it about my characters. So like whether it's through intros or talk about it, or I show it often, like I did with you right now when I show my books. That's how I get them interesting. I get them to like see that, and I get them to make that connection that I'm the guy that produces those books, those World Warrior Drake books. They'll satirically refer to me as the Duck Boy or whatever, but it's part of the charm of that. So, and yes, Miss Sparkles in the chest is a girl fight. Yes, there's the first issue of Pumpkin Warpatch is actually about a long girl fight, a cat fight that she has with one of her rivals, which was introduced in the Road Warrior Drake books. So, yeah. So again, yeah, this is a mature readers only, but it's fun, and it'll be funny too.
All right. So last few things I'll ask you, man, is do you have anything planned coming up for the rest of 2025 going into 2026 you would like to let the audience know about?
So focusing on my books, on the Pumpkin Warpatch books, as well as not the next, but I'll be writing the next graphic novel for Rory Drake, but I'm also going to do like a floppy one book floppy, self-contained story to just keep the character adventures going, and because I have fun drawing Road Warrior Drake. So the guys in the chat, the people in the chat, do they need to link to the Kickstarter? Like maybe they want to see it for themselves. They should see it for themselves so they can rest assured that and by the way, I mean I do have to add this. The books, the Pumpkin Warpatch books, the campaign's set to end in 19 days, but by the time it ends, the book should be done. And the goal is for them to go into printing either late January or February to be shipped out in February. So you're not gonna wait. You're not gonna wait a year for the books. They're gonna be done.
So you're not gonna be waiting until 2030. Like apparently the dog ate your homework. The wife is leaving you to go be with a black guy. All the sob stories, right? You know?
Yeah, exactly. So,
God, I can't believe people always fall for that. Like, hey, the longer the book takes, the more quality it will be. There's nothing to is there any proof of that? Like the longer you wait for something, it's going to come out more better.
At least in terms of comics, I have not seen that. Like I did a video on a couple of examples of comic books that have stood the test of time and were completed within a year. One of those books was Spawn #1 by Todd McFarlane. Another one was Godzilla Color Special by Arthur Adams for Dark Horse. Those books were completed within a year, and the quality of those books they stand the test of time. So.
Yep. Yeah. And the last thing I'll ask you, man, is do you have any shout outs you want to give to anyone in particular and anything else you want to say before we head out?
Well, I do want to thank the fans, people that support me. Mm-hmm. Like your support is generally appreciated. I can't do what I'm doing without the support of the fans and the customers. And even you guys in the chat looking at my campaign, it's helpful, but get me to 500. I'm only like 218 away from 500. We can do this. And then I can get those books shipped out to you, and we can get this going, and I can develop a readership and produce books that will fill that void of people wanting to read about cool new characters, complete stories, entertaining stories. The idea is to be entertained. I want you to read my books and be entertained by it. I'm not gonna lecture you on crap. I'm not gonna just punch you in the head with a lecture on something, whether it's topical, political, whatever. No. I mean, there's some themes in there, yeah, but that's with every story. But the idea is when you read it, you're having fun reading it, and you close the book and say, "Man, that was a fun read. I enjoyed that." Yeah. I want to get more into the Road Warrior Drake universe. I want to learn more about Pumpkin War Patch. I want to learn about what's next for the saga. Yeah,
he's not gonna ever have like a duck mother, and she's gonna tell him about duck feminism.
We were doing so good just now, and you had to just ruin the momentum. Like this was not necessary. I don't have to be here. I could just go and jump out the window, and you'll never hear from me again, ever.
Hey, that's what black babies are doing right now when they're having to live with black mothers. God. Good Lord.
Oh God.
Apparently, that's a joke I heard. What's the thing a black man and a white man have in common? They don't want to raise a black baby.
Oh God.
Holy shit. Oh, man. Good Lord.
Yikes.
Like, did you see those AI Sasquatch videos where the lady is like, I am a she, her, gender fluid pronoun using, and the guy throws him out the window? It's like, keep that shit in California.
Oh man. Okay. AI Bigfoot. Wow.
Good. I love him. Oh, that's my daddy right there. So thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show. It was great having Alazmat on for his first appearance. Can't wait to have him on again next year for another appearance to go over more of CG's bullshit, because Lord knows they're not ever going to be a day without that. I do remember the legendary tweet that John Malin had, because you brought him up. Remember the time that Ed Piskor offed himself? He was like, do I have to blow my brains out for FT to notice me?
I remember that.
So gay.
There's a whole library of idiotic things that has come out of Malin's mouth. So yeah.
Yeah, he also thought that he was a draw himself and not just the Jack Show. Just hilarious, because he's boring as hell. He's actually even more boring than Shane. That's actually a skill. That's actually a skill to have. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And people talk, and Ethan has this thing of like, well, if you don't have charisma, your books won't sell. Well, the two best friends you have that you have sex with don't have any of that.
Yeah.
And I know they put their dicks in his mouth. They're gay.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
In Minecraft. Yeah. So, we'll see you guys later, and you guys have a great night, everyone.